5% or whatever it was of something is better than 100% of nothing. I do feel like in a lot of ways, we are very much like captains of the ship. The pool guy's there, and there's a gash in the bottom of the pool, and all the water's gone. Like, I'm sitting at the closing table, and the agent calls me and is like, "Hey, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The movers on the way out of the house, they stepped on a curtain and pulled the curtain rod out of the wall."
What's up? This is Matt with the No Funding Way Podcast, and today I am joined by Art Kelly. He is a real estate agent, an author, a coach, a dad, a husband, a dog owner, like everything.
Yes.
A jack of all trades, so to speak. So, Art, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, Matt.
How did you wind up here?
Oh, well, you asked me.
Okay, that's fair.
You're like, "Hey, Art,
how did you get in real estate?"
I'm doing this podcast. That's a greght story. It's a long story. I'll try to give you the brief version of it. I'm 50. I've been married for 30 years. I got 4 kids. That's really why. If anybody wants to know why I got into real estate, I needed something that would provide me some security and stability financially that we have not ever really had. I've been in the business for 10 years. My background, I went to school in Virginia at Liberty University, studied religion, and was going to be a youth pastor. And that's really, my childhood was, I grew up in a Navy military home. Every 2 years, moving, 18 months, 24 months, would move to a different location. So I became very resilient at just moving and changing environments a lot. That's always been a really easy thing for me. So I can step into rooms, and so my personality is such that I can step into a room and meet people and not feel weird about doing that. And so when my wife and I got married, I thought that I was going to use that giftedness or whatever in like a church setting. And my early experiences in ministry were bittersweet. Learned that there's a lot of political stuff and moving around in those spaces that I didn't realize that I would have to deal with. And so, my first couple ministry positions I got fired from, which if you've ever been in youth ministry or if you know people who've been in youth ministry, the likelihood that they have been fired at some point for being a youth pastor is very, very high. Nobody told me that like the job security of youth ministers was like way, way low when I first started. That was 25 years ago.
I can't imagine wrangling 15-year-olds all the time like that. Like I can't, it's not like they listen very well at that age.
Well, it's really funny. And this is what I didn't know was it really wasn't the kids that I had an issue with. It was their parents. It was the expectations of parents who basically dropped their kids off and wanted you to be a glorified babysitter. And if you didn't babysit them well enough, I thought I was supposed to minister to them and teach them how to be missionaries to their peers. Their parents thought I was supposed to, run cool events and take them places that they didn't want to go with them. So that was, so early on, I kind of got the wind kicked out of me and learning early on that that I was an entrepreneur, that I was wired differently. I was wired to start new things, to pioneer and trailblaze and go where no man has gone before. I was a big fan of Star Trek back in the day. And so, but that's true. I mean, that adventurous spirit was in me, and I was a contrarian thinker, and I didn't fit well within that system. And so all that to say, I went on a journey after losing my job in the second church that I served at, which is what brought me to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, here in the Nashville area. And then, man, we started having kids. And so out of necessity, I just started working. I mean, doing everything, I was a bread truck delivery driver. I worked on the night shift at Nissan as a, put parts on cars kind of thing. And I got into the school system for a little while. I was a roofing contractor. I was a vending machine sales trainer for a while. I even tried doing several different network marketing things like there was some juice bottle stuff called Mona V back in the day. It's like this magic juice, it's with the acai berry. And and it was so funny because like I would go to these things, these network marketing things, and I did 2 or 3 of them. And dude, like I didn't realize, and again, all due respect, those of you that are out there selling oils or magic potions or whatever it is that you sell, it to me, it became one of those sales things where like I felt like I was creating this sense around people around me that like, oh, here he comes. What's he doing now? Like what's he trying to sell me now? And so it's kind of to use your friends and family, go to your warm market, exhaust them. And then of course they're all like, yeah, so how'd that work? Ground floor opportunity here, guys. You gotta, that was the whole thing. And, so I tried those things because there was something in me that wanted to go start something new and that was always drawn into sales or something like that. But then I was about 40, 39, 40. I was working in the school system, making $1,500 a month. And my wife and I had a come to Jesus conversation. We had 4 kids at the time and we were dead broke. And she's like, what are you going to do when you grow up? Because you need to figure that out. So that's the long answer as to why I got into real estate is that I was told by people that, hey, you might be good at real estate, but I mean, it's also kind of like being told you might be good at bowling.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You might.
I feel like if you can sell a bottle of juice, you can sell a house.
Well, I sold a few bottles of juice, not very many. But yeah, that's how I got into the real estate business.
Got it.
They do. And there was definitely the draw. I mean, real estate, look, you can sell a house, you make 10 grand or whatever. And so there was kind of that like, ooh, if I could ever do that someday, that would be really amazing. I would not have to work for somebody else, hours on end for 3 or 4 months to make $10,000. And, so yeah, there was definitely the promise of, hey, there's some potential here.
Totally. Well, obviously in the decade of doing this, you've seen probably some crazy stuff. Let's talk about that, because we could, obviously you and I have helped plenty of people together, even buy their first house, buy their next house, relocate from across the country, whatever. Those stories are awesome, but people really want to know what happens whenever, the crap hits the fan.
Well, it's really funny. I was telling you a minute ago, I was looking through all of my past clients and name. I'm just going through all of them. Like, there was a lot of ups and downs of roller coaster emotional stuff. I can't think of anything like really like way out that ever really happened. I will tell you when I first started, this is kind of funny. I didn't know, like there's a thing that we real estate agents do. It's called previewing a home. Okay. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't understand that. I was just like, oh, okay. Somebody always said, a couple of brokers that I worked for back in the day were like, look, if you want to really sell real estate in this area, you need to get to know the inventory. And so, and I was like, what do you mean inventory? They're like, well, the houses in the actual market, that's the inventory in the market. And you need to go and visit them. And so you can do that. You can set up a showing without a client, and it's called a preview. And you as a realtor can go and just look at houses. So I thought, great. Well, let me find some houses I want to look at. So I found a house. It was up in Las Casas, Tennessee, which is kind of northeast of Murfreesboro. And it was in a really nice neighborhood. And I was like, I'd like to sell a house like that. At the time, I think it was like a $500,000 house. And which is really funny in this area. 10 years ago, $500,000, you'd get a nice house for $500,000. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Not around here now. Like $500,000 is a starter home pretty much. But at the time that was a lot. So I was like, yeah, I'll go check this out. So I set up, I'm just driving up in the area. I set up the showing and I'm like in the neighborhood in 10 minutes. I go and open up the door and use my Central Lock card because I haven't used this yet. This is kind of fun. Get to use my new realtor only security, open up the lock to the house kind of thing. Open up the door, walk in, just kind of start looking around. Like, okay, cool house, and there's obviously somebody lives here, I'm going into the kitchen and then this little old lady in a towel
Oh boy.
comes down out of the stairs. It's like, hello? And I'm just like startled. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, well, I was like, I'm just a realtor, just kind of looking at your house. And, and and I'm like, I need to leave. I'm so sorry. And she was actually really cool. She was really gracious or whatever, and just kind of let me out. But I'm like, this is a lawsuit just waiting to happen, I guarantee. And I'm just starting my real estate business out. And needless to say, I didn't do any more previews for quite some time after that. And so that was kind of my first experience of previewing a home. I didn't realize that you really actually need to give people time to prepare for you to come and look at the house that they have on the market. And especially if it's a house that somebody lives in, you might need to give them 2 or 3 hours. Or 24 hours, So anyway, that was an interesting experience for me. So
process wise, like I was saying, there was some sort of thing where you scheduled it online and it just there wasn't enough time that she was able to check her phone or whatever. Right.
Well, yeah, I don't even know if I was confirmed to see the house, quite honestly.
Oh, I got you.
Now that I think
mistake.
I was so new. Yeah, I was so new in the business. I probably thought, oh, okay, you just schedule a thing and you just go hop on in a house. Of course. Yeah. It really doesn't work that way. You have to give them time to respond and say, yeah, we want you to look at our house. We're available. We're not taking a shower right now. And so that's, I will say, I've had some ups and downs experiences with people. I've had folks that, bought a home, and then 6 months later I get a phone call and they're like crying. I'm so far away from my parents in Nashville, and we were in Shelbyville. They had bought a home. They'd used me to help buy a home. This was back in 2020. They used me to buy a home. It was crazy during I talk about just crazy times in real estate. 2020, totally. Right after the pandemic, that May, it was like the spring market that just started and it went on for 3 straight years. So it was just crazy. You saw all kind of crazy stuff that people were doing just to try to get into a home because buyers were desperate to be accepted, to have their offer accepted. I didn't personally have this happen, but I heard of people paying $150,000 above appraised value. Mostly California buyers coming here, and they would just pay exorbitant amounts of extra money because they had it. And so like a house, a $300,000 house here was worth $1 million out there. And so they could sell their $1 million, 1,500 square foot house, sit on, however much they had made, $500 or $750,000, come here, pay cash, or finance something, and then just ridiculous. Have this ridiculous number on it, and then put this high appraised, whatever the appraisal gap was, they would make that difference up. So I heard of people doing that. And so this young couple, they're probably 22 when they bought their house in Murfreesboro. They had moved down from Nashville, bought a house in Murfreesboro with me. A year later, they call me and they're like, hey, we want to take advantage of the $200,000 equity we just got in our home. And we want to buy a newer home. And I was like, oh, great. So we couldn't find anything because everything had gone up in value so much. So I was like, well, we could go to look down, half an hour south of here into Shelbyville, Bedford County. So we found a house down there. And the whole time they were like, this is great. This is what we want. They're excited. They bought this house, really beautiful house in a neighborhood that I had already sold another house to somebody else in that neighborhood, right next door, actually. And so that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, you can know these neighbors, whatever. So, sold and went through the whole process. And then 6 months later, I get a phone call from her at that was in the summertime. And this phone call came in December. And she was distraught. oh my gosh, I can't believe I bought this house. Like, we're so far away from family, and my heart went out to her. I was like, okay, but you
Yeah.
you invested a lot of your equity that you just got in that house you bought last year into this one that you just bought. We're probably going to lose some money here. And that was probably 2023, I guess. And that was when the market like reached this 8%. Like the prices were at the highest they've ever been. The rates went all the way up to 8%. And then just like all of the real estate activity around here stopped. And so like this is December of that year.
Oh.
And, so we put it on the market. It took us 5 months to even get an offer on it. It was a low ball offer. We ended up just getting out of it. They ended up moving in with family, and I think they ended up buying with the builder somewhere else. And it was a little awkward. Just when it didn't happen again the third time, but it's kind of like, but I get it. I understand, so those kinds of things. You're dealing with a lot of just different personalities all the time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had that conversation with a lot of people back in that time where they would be like, hey, my house is worth twice what I paid for it. I want to go move into a nicer house. And I had to remind them in most cases, I'm like, yeah, your house is worth twice as much as you paid for it, but so is the house you're trying to buy.
So is everybody else's.
So, like yours didn't magically grow while theirs stayed the same. So you're going to have to either move out to get a bigger house, or you're going to have to move lateral to get to a different location.
Well, I do have another interesting story of a friend of mine who called me and asked me to help him and his wife sell their home here in Murfreesboro. They were dealing with another lender friend of mine, and this lender that I met, who I had met during the pandemic, she was a firecracker. I mean, this lady really handled her client. Her buyers. I was representing a seller when I met this lender, and this is kind of a crazy story too. You kind of know some of this story already, but she and I became friends, and I started to use her as my lender for a large portion of my deals from 2021 to 23, 24. What made her really good as a lender was also something that made her bit of a bittersweet experience with my clients, because she would fight hard for my clients. But I did notice that, especially my more type A personalities, she started to kind of fight with them, because she was the smartest person in the room, right? Like, she was really, really good at her job. She knew the lending side, backwards and forward, and she was great. I mean, I never had to worry about any deals not closing with her, which is more than I can say for most of the lenders that I know, except for you, my friend, because you're also equally as good at making sure things get done. Because you do your homework on the front end. Yeah. You do your homework on the front end. That's why you and I work well together, because I like people who actually, do what they say they're going to do. And so, and this lady was very much like that as well. But we started to kind of get like this brother and sister thing going on, like where we would start fighting, and then she would start fighting with my clients instead of for my clients. And so that's kind of the background. So then I have this one friend of mine that he and his wife, they want to sell their home here in Murfreesboro. They want to buy another home. They have a large family, and they wanted to get something a little bit closer into town. They wanted to find kind of an older home that had been renovated. And we found this beautiful house there. And I don't remember price point. I mean, it was 5 or 6 or something like that they were buying. The house they sold was somewhere around 400. And my client was dealing with this lender, because I handed her to him and I was like, hey, she's really good at her job. She does really great. I didn't know at the time that she was going to fight with him. And so like she was just very abrasive with him, and he was also very much like, you ain't telling me what to do, woman. So didn't know that I am not a matchmaker. That's please don't, I'm not, at least I'm learning. Hopefully now I'm a better matchmaker than I was, 5 or 6 years ago. And so anyway, so that whole thing kind of happens, and it's going well as far as the actual loan. They're getting everything done. But it is a large amount. It's a big adjustment for him to start thinking about, okay, we're going to be making a little bit bigger payment, but because we have a larger home. And so there was a lot of that angst going on in him.
Sure.
And I'm friends with him. His wife and my wife are friends, and we're about to close on this deal. And his wife calls my wife and is like, look, the lender you've been working with has been exasperating my husband. And, he's stressed about this closing tomorrow. And so I had this moment where I'm going, well, what do I do? And Rebecca Lowe's, she's like, you go swing by the liquor store and you're going to grab him some scotch and a couple cigars, and you're going to go sit with him on his back porch and listen to him. That's exactly what I did. So I get to the house. I got, a nice big bottle of Dewar's. I don't know how you say it, but, and a couple cigars. And I'm like, hey man, I'm here. So we just go back in the backyard and sit on his back porch, and I just listen, we just talk and we just kind of walk through it. And, and that was what he needed. He just needed a friend he didn't need a realtor in that moment. He just needed a friend to just kind of take a few minutes and be like, all right, this is going to be all right. And just needed somebody to remind him of that. And it's funny because sometimes as a real estate agent, I mean, obviously, when we're dealing with our clients, I tell people, and you probably know, we'll talk about this, but I tell real estate agents and other people, I just make friends for a living. And then every once in a while, one of my friends will refer business to me or whatever. And the danger in that is that people can really question your motives because they go, well, if you're sending clientele to people that that are your friends, obviously you're getting, kickbacks from them and so you do have to be careful because people's perception of that kind of stuff, or, I am benefiting financially from my friend selling or buying a home, and I am making money off of this transaction. So how do you find that delicate balance between, trading the line between I'm the person who's making money off of you, but at the same time, I really want to make sure that you are having a good experience and that, I don't ever want to lose a relationship with somebody that I care about genuinely as a friend over a real estate deal. And sometimes when you're dealing with money and that kind of stuff, I mean, I know that it kind of complicates things for some people. And so you just have to kind of walk a tightrope sometimes with folks. But at the end of the day, I'm still friends with these folks. I've helped them buy another home here in town. They bought their first Airbnb here in the area. And he called me a few years later. And it's because I developed that relationship and we stayed in that friendship. And so he trusted me. And so I think that that is something that we kind of deal with in our business is, despite all the craziness and all the stuff, the highs and lows, the ups and downs, peaks and valleys and stuff, somehow if we're able to develop the kind of trust with our clients that they are willing to still keep sending business to us, and also recognize that we're not just doing this because we get something out of it, but that we really are trying to help them get what they want. Again, it's just a delicate thing to be in that space sometimes with people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, health and money, and I saw a study several years ago that they did a survey and said that buying a house was considered just as stressful as losing somebody to death in their family.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm always like, hey, best I could promise you is I'm going to make it not suck, because if everybody that says, hey, we're going to make getting a mortgage easy is full of crap. There's nothing you can do to make getting a mortgage easy. Let's face it, you got the sexy part of this. I got the part that's screaming at a computer screen. They make TV shows about you. They don't make TV. There was Office Space. That's probably the closest to a TV show about that's in alignment with mortgage. But, and then likewise, to your point about the relationships and friends and that sort of thing, and the stress involved, I think that, we were talking before we hit record that, blood pressure is a thing whenever you're, you and me these days, apparently. Well, part of that's trying to assume as much stress off the backs of the client and friends as you can. so that they don't have to deal with it. But I think having a steady person there, I always think about situations where a doctor's like, holy crap, this is the worst injury I've ever seen. It doesn't exactly make you feel warm and fuzzy as the patient, right? Versus if they're like, oh yeah, I mean, I see these every day, not a big deal, we'll get it fixed up.
Yep.
Now suddenly you're a little bit calmer about the circumstances.
Everything is in how you frame it, for sure. If you frame something from a standpoint of panic and, oh my gosh, then yeah, I mean, you're going to get a response equal to whatever the way you framed it was. And so that is something over time that you learn how to do the longer you do, whatever you do, right? Like, I mean, it's not just being a real estate agent or a mortgage guy. I mean, you get those, you start getting those 10,000 hours that everybody talks about with like Malcolm Gladwell or whatever. Then you start to realize how to better communicate when moments of crisis come, and how to help navigate people through that. I do feel like in a lot of ways, we are very much like captains of the ship for folks, trying to help them, or maybe we're the second mate or first mate or whatever that comes alongside of them as they're on their little ship trying to steer, and we're trying to give them the best advice in the moment to just stay calm and carry on. And I've seen those T-shirts, trust your realtor and carry on, or whatever, keep calm and carry on. I'm just your realtor. I'm your realtor, whatever. I mean, I think there is some value. I don't think that people realize the value of what having a trusted, calm, non-alarmist business advisor alongside of you, like what that actually does, what that creates for you. And so, but again, I mean, we're constantly competing with a world that is telling our clients that we're all just a bunch of filthy rich, greedy people, that don't really care about other people. And so, and I think that's a part of like our job, is to communicate to people, hey, what you've been told is a lie. And what you can experience with us is the truth, and is smooth, and is better. I can't promise you a flawless experience. I can't promise you that there's not going to be some problems or whatever, but I can promise you that there are still people that you can trust, that are good people, that care about you and your family, and that are not only looking to benefit from, your misfortune or whatever.
Right.
I feel I have this conversation with every one of my clients. I tell them all on the front end, look, if you have a good experience with me, you're going to tell your friends and your family about me. If you have a bad experience with me, you are definitely going to tell your friends and family about me. And so I want them to say good things about us,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and actually with one of our mutual clients, I had the conversation one time. He asked me earlier in the transaction, like, did I think that he was capable of being a real estate agent? And I was like, yeah, I mean, intellectually, you're a smart guy. You could be a real estate agent just fine. Trust me, there's a lot of people a lot dumber with you with that license. But anyway, I was like, he goes, okay, it just seems like it would be super easy. I was like, well, part of your perception of why you feel like it's super easy is because you don't know that Art's been behind the scenes orchestrating a bunch of crap, so you don't got to worry about it. I said, so, with that being said, the great thing in a sense, and negative thing in a sense, is in most cases, the less you feel like your real estate agent had to do through the transaction, the more they probably did. Because you just didn't know about the problems that arise, because there's always problems every single time.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. Like, we had this happen about a month ago with one of my clients, which was one of the folks that you were working with. And he literally was on his way over to the closing. And he's like, I'm just going to pop by the house real quick and just check on it real quick. He lived, down south of here, and he's coming through the area where his house was. And he goes, he calls me. He's like, hey, man, he said, I just want to give you a heads up. He's like, the owner has a pool guy that was there when I stopped by, and the pool, it's got like, it was an above ground pool, and because the pool, like all the water is out of the pool because in the last 24 hours, because we had been there literally the day before, we had done a walkthrough, and the pool was fine. Water's all full, clear, clean, everything. He goes literally, he's driving to our closing, swings by the house. The pool guy's there, and there's a gash in the bottom of the pool, and all the water's gone. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm, $300 or $400 probably. We'll get this thing fixed or whatever. Nope. A pool liner is like a $2,000 fix for one of those daggone things.
Yeah.
And so I had to get on the horn. I had to talk. I had to call several different pool companies, find who all, who were what are the different prices? How much is it going to cost? I called that pool guy. I called another pool guy. I called like 3 or 4 different pool guys trying to find out. I had to call the agent on the other side and demand that their seller set aside money that could be paid to whatever pool guy we decided to use to make sure that pool got taken care of. Out of closing, I talked to the title company who didn't want to hold money for $2,000. She was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, this isn't really what we're supposed to do. And so like there was a whole like fire that I had to, that should be the part of the job description is you're just a firefighter,
Yeah.
Let's just add that to your description as a real estate agent. You're a firefighter. Put fires out right before closing. That week though, like I had that happen. I had another client, another one that you had helped me with. It was in Franklin. Like I'm sitting at the closing table and the agent calls me and is like, hey, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. The movers on the way out of the house, they stepped on a curtain and pulled the curtain rod out of the wall. And so I have no context. I have no idea. Like, okay, is this like a $20 fix? Is this a $500 fix? Like, what the heck? And she kind of glazed over it like it wasn't a big deal. And we ended up getting it worked out. My son ended up going out to their house like the following Monday and putting the thing up. And he's like, it's easy, Dad. This is what I do for a living. So if you ever want to have your curtains done, just call Art Kelly and I'll have my son Caleb go out and do that for you in the Nashville area. Little plug for my son. And, but I mean, like these kinds of things, they just happen. I mean, I think every deal we had that week ended up having some kind of a fire that we had to put out.
Did. we had a run there that was 3 or 4. None of them related to lending or real estate itself. It was some bull crap out of left field every time.
Yeah, every time. And you're like, what?
And we were already clear to close. So like when people say still you're not until it's funded, it's not done. Yeah. That's why. Clear to close is one step, but funding is the finish line. I remember when you called me, as most agents do, you try to give me as little info as possible when it comes to property condition problems because it's best just so
don't
want
to muddy the water.
We don't know.
Yeah, don't muddy the water.
Right. Protect my innocence. But you're trying to kind of allude that we've got some problems on that swimming pool file without saying what the problem was. And as I'm talking to you, I get an email from title to me, God, country, and everybody in my company that's like, hey, the liner's ripped. And I'm like,
what are we going to do about this?
What you're talking about? Yeah.
I do remember that. I was not saying, I wasn't saying what they were saying.
So anyway, I'm like, well, she outed you on this one in writing to everybody. So thanks for that.
Oh, dude. I mean, seriously.
It was done in innocence. Nothing, no harm intended. But yeah, and then that's the thing too. That's where this is one of those jobs where I tell people all the time, if you ever think you know everything, you're an idiot because something's going to come up and just punch you in the throat tomorrow. Every time.
Yeah.
I mean, we have had deals that went super smooth and easy, but there was still something along the way every single time that got stupid.
I was going to tell you one. There's another one that I was thinking about just thinking about like lessons that I've learned in this business. I think a lot of the stuff that most of my clientele over the years that I look at these names of people that I've served and stuff, and I think in every single situation, I may not have had like a crazy weird story necessarily to tell about all of them, but there was some kind of a lesson that I learned along the way in every single one of these things. Like one of them I learned from this guy. He bought a property in North Murfreesboro for his son. He and his wife lived here in Murfreesboro, but they were from like Northern Virginia. He was actually a CFO or something of a major bank up in Virginia, and he ended up buying this house. I helped him buy this house, and then a year later, he gives me a call, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, he said, "We're going to sell this house," and he said, "I'm just curious, how much would you charge? You know, how much do you charge for that?" And I told him my percentage, and he's like, "Okay," and then crickets. I didn't get anything, you know. And in my mind at the time, I remember just going, "This is how much I charge." And I think he asked me. He said, "Would you do it for less?" And I was like, "Well, you know," I pushed back. I was like, "No, I mean, you know, like, I mean, I know the work that I do and that I put in here, and I did it. And I'm gonna leave it here at this percentage." And like he was cool. He was like, "Okay." He said, "That's fine." And then he just didn't call me back. And then a week later, another agent that I didn't know, and I don't think he even knew, put it on the market for him for a 0.5% or a full percent less than what I was going to sell it for. And I realized that like I just made 100% of nothing because I wasn't willing to drop my commit. I could have made the money. And I remember at the time, it was one of those moments in like the market was starting to kind of wane. And I was like, dang, you know, that money would have been really, really helpful at that moment had I just been willing to come off my high horse and go, you know, like not everybody is gonna ask me to cut my commission, but every once in a while somebody is. And am I going to be so hard, like strict on my numbers and my value that I'm not willing to drop this or give a discount here or whatever. And I realized in that moment, I'm like, oh, I was like, you know, 5% or whatever it was of something is better than 100% of nothing. And
totally.
And so I think a lot of times we just have to have those moments that we learn and we go, okay, how do we read the room with the clientele that we're working with and figure out, okay, what's the best way we can serve this person? And is giving them a little bit of a discount or dropping a fee or whatever, is that going to be something that will help us to salvage the relationship that could yield us 4 or 5 referrals down the road, where we could get paid the full amount of what we wanted to because we were willing to do what we needed to do in that moment, and we weren't so short-sighted because we weren't making the money off of that deal that we were unwilling to keep the relationship going and sacrifice some of our money out of it and eventually probably see some future business. Fortunately for me, about a year later, I called the guy and I was like, dude, I said, I have to apologize to you. I was like, I really missed an opportunity there and I'm sorry. Cause I would much rather have served you and done it for a little bit less money than you having to take somebody else, you know, you having to go find somebody else who would have done it for a smaller price. And which he did have a good experience with that other agent or whatever. So I did that. And then back in December, this is a few years later, back in December, he calls me and we start talking again and about their personal property here in Murfreesboro. And I came and went and looked at it and they were not ready to sell yet. And I'm still in contact with them. And at some point, I think probably in the near future, they may decide to sell. That because I spent the time to just kind of go back and build that bridge with that relationship and apologize and acknowledge that I had, you know, hey, I made a mistake with all that. Like he actually did call me back later. And so now, I mean, who knows, maybe I'll get a chance to sell their house, you know, the next year or so. So.
No, totally. I mean, I'm with you too. I've had several clients that earlier in my career, I definitely whiffed on. And learned my lesson and was like, okay, now I got it. I understand this now. And, you know, my pipeline right now, one of my clients, this is actually 2 of my clients, this is the 3rd deal I've done for each of them, closing this month.
That's
just because people move. I joke with one of them that I'm working on him with his working with him on his third forever home right now. And
yeah.
So
it's funny. I mean, the one that we just closed yesterday, it was really interesting. I'm sitting there at the table, and you use the phrase "forever home." That kind of triggered me there for a second. They are buying. They just bought this house that is sitting on 5 acres. It's probably, I don't know, 2,800, 3,000 square feet. Beautiful brick home. Needs some work. They got a really good deal on it. It praised for more than what they paid for it. This is a guy that's a friend of mine. I've known him for about 13 years, since he was a teenager. Now he's married. He's got a blended family with 5 kids, from teenagers all the way down to like a 2-year-old. And they buy this house, and we're just talking, and they're probably 31, 32. I don't know, maybe both of them in their mid 30s.
Yeah, right around that.
And we're talking, and I'm sitting there at the table, and I'm like, guys, rarely do I sit across from a 30 something that is buying a home that, quite honestly, I don't expect for you guys to probably ever sell this home. I mean, you might. I mean, and if you do, call me. But I was
right.
This is kind of a forever home for these people. And it was a very, very rare moment in business, because most of the time I'm telling 30-year-olds, look, because a lot of 30-year-olds are going, I want to buy this house, but I can only buy, this, or that, or they say, I only want to buy this house. And then I have to tell them, well, maybe the house that you want to buy is the house, maybe there's a house in between the house that you want to buy. There's the house that you need to buy right now, so that you can buy the house that you want to buy someday.
Totally.
We have that conversation a lot. This was one of those situations where they literally got to buy their house that they're probably going to retire in,
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of cool. Anyway, that was a rabbit trail. Your forever home comment tipped me off there.
No, I'm with you on them. I could see that totally being a forever home for them. But in most cases, I'll talk to people and they're like, this is my forever home. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. I'll see you in 3 years.
Right. Yeah. I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt 150 times now with people's forever homes that I did another loan for them. And to your point there about this is a stepping stone type thing, I always take it back to their first car. I'm like, well, what was your first car?
Mazda 626.
Got it. Mine was a 1994 Ford Explorer that was gold, Eddie Bauer edition, and the little fancy mirror thing got burned out. It was a hand-me-down from my grandmother. And I'm like, your first car was not a Ferrari or anything close to your dream car. So don't put that much weight on the thing that costs 10 times as much,
No, yeah. It's, that is, I think we're definitely fighting against a lot of people's emotional attachment to things quite a bit in this business, and trying to help accommodate them with a few of the things that they want. But, we're dealing in the world of dreams a lot of times. And a lot of times we're also dealing in the world of, let's bring you down out of the clouds so you can actually see reality here. A lot of folks with a champagne taste and a beer budget out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm one of them. I can't blame them, but
absolutely.
Everybody wants something cool, but
no matter how big your budget gets, there's always wine that's way outside of your ability to buy it,
For sure. My favorite one with that was a client several months ago that we mutually had that she had a specific payment in mind. Yeah. And had a specific down payment in mind, and also had a specific purchase price in mind. And we weren't meeting these 3 trains at the same station or close to it, So I'm like, all right, we want to do a lower down payment, a higher purchase price, and a lower monthly payment. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about that,
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's one of those moments where you type into chat GPT before you talk to your lender. Hey, is this even possible? You know?
Right. I'm like, hey, I'm good, but I'm not a magician. Like I
Right.
can't bend math for you like that.
Yep.
No, we found a reasonable happy medium. I'm just like, we need to figure out which part's the most important here, and we're going to focus on that first. You know, if you're trying to buy your dream home, is it going to be the 7-car detached shop, or is it going to be the pool in the back? You know, maybe it's got to be a one or the other.
Yeah, that's right.
But well, Art, it's been a pleasure having you on today. Thanks so much for joining us. If anybody wanted to come find you, like, how do they get to you?
Well, you can go to artkelly.org. That's my website. You can go to artkellyrealtor.com and find me. You can look me up on Instagram at artkellyrealtor.tn. I also have, just look up Art. And I say Art Kelly. Don't look up just Art Kelly. You're going to get images of R. Kelly. And I am not the pedophile rapper that got arrested a few years ago. This is just for clarity's purposes. So anyway, but you can find me there. And, you know, something that I am doing, and you and I have done this before. I have written books. You can go to Amazon and look my name up, A-R-T Kelly on Amazon. And you can see I've actually written several books to help people. It's underneath the philosophy and the brand that I call Friend Maker. And I started the Friend Maker brand basically to help people in sales understand that relationships are the foundation of your business. And so if you want to have me come and speak to a group of business people, you know, it's something that I do quite a bit. I do speak to realtors. I'm taking on an office of realtors down in Alabama sometime next month, getting ready to do some brokerage training down there, a thing I call Friend Maker Boot Camp. You can read several of the books I've got, systems and resources to help you with sales. And so that's kind of a side thing that I do alongside of selling homes. I work with Zeitlin Sotheby's, which is a large luxury realtor out of Nashville. But, you know, I never want to pigeonhole myself into going, oh, I'm only a luxury agent. You know, people that see that name, they're like automatically, oh, he must only sell $1 million homes. Actually, the average list price of the homes that I'm selling right now are less than $500,000. And so, but I mean, I work with everybody, but I do work with the clients that are able to make moves of $2 and $3 million as well. But you know, I try to have a broad palette and help as many families as I can. And it's the middle class. It's been my bread and butter and taking good care of me. And so I just try to make as many friends as I possibly can. So you can find me anywhere. Just look up Friend Maker, one big word, Friend Maker, anywhere on the internet. You're probably going to find me. Yeah.
Well, and having sat through the Friend Maker workshop more than once at this point, I can definitely plug and say that, you know, if you're somebody getting rolling in sales and you're like, why does my phone not magically ring? And what am I supposed to do here? And then you're trying to figure out what on earth it means to manifest something or whatever other bull crap you see on TikTok about mindset. Look into the Friend Maker workshop and the book, because it's actually a tactical breakdown of a great way to keep organized with friends. Because, you know, if you're like me, you got a lot of people you're acquainted with, but it's hard to make sure that you stay in contact with all of them all the time. So Art's definitely put together a great system to help you keep organized on that and do it systematically instead of by accident. Yep, that's right. Nothing happens by accident. I mean, every once in a while, but for the most part, you want your phone to ring, you got to ring other people's phones. That's just the reality of it. You know? Yes, 100%.
Who's your audience primarily? Who do you think the folks are that are watching, listening to this?
I think it's probably at this stage mostly real estate agents. Obviously, it's, you know, set up for a general consumer to be accessible and it not be super specific. But, you know, most of the comments that I get are real estate agents relating to the nonsense of the industry.
Well, yeah. You know, I think we're in a space too where like we get to go create some of our own chaos. So, you know, go create some chaos and that way then you get to, your phone starts ringing. You start making a mess, phone start ringing. If you're just sitting around being clean and all organized and all that kind of stuff, I mean, who wants to live that way? Just go set something on fire. And I heard somebody say, if you really have something you want to say, go set yourself on fire and then let other people watch you burn. So, I think there's something to be said about that,
For sure. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here today. And everybody go grab a copy of the book. And then also, if you need a real estate agent that's local to Middle Tennessee, go and specifically search for Art Kelly and not R. Kelly, because, he might believe he can fly, but he's probably going to have better sheets.
Art Kelly.
So, there realtor. You go. There we have it right there.
Screenshot.
Yep, hit it.
All right, man. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks, man.
You too. Thanks. Come back next week to see what other train wreck stories we've got for you.